Alright, so we're going to get started with the Denham Family Health Model. So first off, we're going to start with the contextual perspective. And so this is going to be some questions about your family, some questions about some of the smaller systems in your life. So first off, would you describe your family for me, Jimmy?
Yes, I am the third child out of four, all boys, all um, in, gone to college, and two parents still married, currently living in Nigeria, and I have a very large extended family on both sides. Um, so does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. Do your brothers live near you, or are they in America too?
Yes, my little brother goes here to um, the same university I'm going to right now, MSU.
It's gotta
And
be nice.
both of my older brothers have graduated, and they live in Minneapolis, so about an hour and a half away. So I see them a couple times a month.
Good. So you get to stay close to your brothers then?
Yeah,
Do
at
you get
least
to
for now. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get to see them a lot?
I'd probably say in a month I see them 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
So a decent amount, but not not like every weekend or something. Yeah.
Okay. What are some unique characteristics of your family? I know a big one would definitely be your parents, that they're in Nigeria still.
Yeah, I'd probably say something unique about my family. Um, it's just even though we've kind of been separated for a while, physically, we're still able to be really close with each other, and we still, whenever we meet up, it's just right back where we left off, and just the bond that we have, I'd probably say is pretty unique.
How do you think that bond has changed now that you are physically in different areas?
Well, I'd probably say that, just the familiarity with each other. Sometimes, there's when you don't have that continuity. There's gonna be some miscommunications here and there, but so I probably say it's not as smooth as it used to be, but it's still pretty strong.
Okay. Would you tell me about how it was like in your childhood?
Um, well, I'd probably say, me and my brothers and I, we'd grown up, playing soccer out in the street in front of the house every day, and playing video games, and always just laughing and cracking jokes, and that type of thing. That's what I remember of my childhood.
So, did you grow up in the city?
Yes, we grew up in Lagos, which is the most populous city in the whole of Africa, over 20 million people. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so
Were you kind of
city.
were you kind of in the heart of the city or more on the outskirts?
More in the heart, more or less, right in the middle, because it's not really a big city in terms of the space, but it's just a lot of people crowded in there. So
Definitely. What was the neighborhood like that you grew up in then?
the neighborhood was pretty quiet considering how populated Lagos is. It was just a regular neighborhood. Neighbors had children that we would go and hang out and play with as well. I know down the street, my parents said that there's this Nigerian artist back in the 70s called Fela, who's really popular all over the world. And they said he used to live down the street. He passed in the 90s, so I don't know if that's true, if my parents just made that up. but other than that, it was pretty quiet for the most part. Yeah.
How was your sense of community like?
Well, apart from, one of the neighbors we knew very well, the one right next to us, but then the other one didn't really know. So I'd probably say for the most part, everyone kind of kept we kept to ourselves and our immediate neighbor to our right, but I didn't know the other people in the neighborhood. Maybe my parents did, but I was a kid, so
Yeah.
I didn't really matter to me, I guess.
Weren't quite as active. I guess you had your kind of circle of friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
And I had my brothers. So.
Sure. That must have been really fun growing up. Would you tell me a little bit about your education growing up?
Yeah. So, my education growing up was good, considering, well, not considering circumstances. My my parents really value education.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what I was trying to think. I was trying to think of. So yeah, they really value education, and so they made sure that I went to a really good school, and they made sure that I was focused and you know no video games during the school year. Make sure that you focus on the class and everything. And so as a kid, I enjoyed that actually. So
Hmm.
I had a very good education growing up.
How do you think it's led to you being in nursing today? That drive that your parents brought in you?
I'd probably say just getting my interest in the sciences
Mm-hmm.
from an early age, and just being curious, asking questions, and um, always striving to be a better person.
Yeah. With your school life now, how would you say it affects you personally, whether in lessons that you've learned? I know you said you always ask questions now. How do you
Yeah.
think that has changed your viewpoint in your social life?
From my, are we still talking about my education as a child?
Mm-hmm. Your
Um,
education as a child, or your education now, too.
okay. I'm sorry. Can you ask the question again?
How would you think that your education and your drive that your parents put in you to like be educated, and especially your education now, how do you think that affects how you deal in social situations?
I'd say that you know, being just my parents were really, really like strict on school. Always came
Mm-hmm.
first, and it still is. And so, for I'd probably say for the most part, that's still my mindset. Even though there might be distractions here and there, at the end of the day, I still always come back
Mm-hmm.
to education. So in social situations, as you said, here in college, there's a lot of different social things going on. But at the back of the mind, no matter how crazy things get, I still always put education number one. So
Okay. What would you say would be an important life lesson that you've learned um, with the fact that you are so driven? Like, how is that going to keep on driving you in the future?
I'd probably say that the main thing was having a purpose behind the things that I do.
Okay.
Instead of just doing things to do it, um, my drive is why am I doing this? What's the reason behind it? And so it's the reasons that define who you are. And so that's my
Mm.
belief. And so, um, I try. What drives me is just um, okay. I got lost in my train of thought, but
It's okay.
um,
I
next
guess
question.
to focus in on that, how do you think that you've changed as a person in the last like 6 months with with starting nursing school, with it being something so new? How do you think it's changed you?
I'd probably say that I think my way of thinking has changed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We do so many critical thinking activities, and I think that I've started to think and analyze things, because
Mm-hmm.
a nurse is, when a situation arises, she's supposed to think critically, step A all the way to the last step, how to
Mm-hmm.
do this and why, what's the justification for doing different things. And so I'd say that, in my everyday activities, I've started to apply those critical thinking processes.
Could you give me an example?
I'd probably say, for example, you know, just how do I spend my time during the day?
Mm-hmm.
Usually, I never really thought about how I spend, there's 24 hours in a day. I never really thought about, okay, like what am I exactly doing at this time, this time, this time, just be more organized. But now that I'm in the program, and, I've learned how to become more organized in
Mm-hmm.
my activities.
Okay. So moving on, we're going to start on the functional perspective. So this is going to be kind of about relationships with your family and interactions that you have. So my first question is, if I were to come into your family, who would be communicating with each other, and who would who would be the spokesperson of your family?
Spokesperson of the family, I'd probably say my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She'd probably be the person you talk to. She'd be the person to, welcome you, cook for you, and introduce you to everybody.
Okay. How does that role affect your father and your brothers?
Well, naturally, she has that role because, you know, she's the main woman.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any. I don't have any sisters, so it's 5 men and 1 woman,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's kind of how it's been. And so I'd probably say that's how it's affected her, just because of the fact that we're all boys, we're all
Sure.
men.
Who would be communicating with each other?
Who would be communicating with each other? Um, my dad he's very opinionated, and he doesn't really talk much, but when he does, it's like, um, how do I describe it? Okay, well, who would be communicating each other? I mean, I'd probably say me and my little brother would be communicating the most.
Mm-hmm.
Both of my older brothers are pretty quiet, kind of reserved, and a lot of people call my oldest brother. He's kind of shy. He kind of does his own thing. So I'd say my little brother and I are the most talkative.
Okay. Who would you say your mom's a primary caregiver in your family then?
Yes.
Okay. Would she be the first one to speak up too?
Yes.
Okay. At the end of the day, who do you usually connect with? Either on the phone or through texting or emails or letters of some sort?
My little brother would be the person I'd say that I connect with, just because he's the person that I've spent the most time with over the years growing up.
Okay. If you have any concerns or questions, or if you just want someone to talk to, do you think it would be your little brother that you'd go to, or who else in your family?
In a situation like that where I'm looking for wisdom, I'd go to my mother, or my father, either or. But I'd say more so of my mother, because growing up, my dad traveled a lot, and so there were years where there was where I didn't spend as much time with him. So but I lived with my mother, and so naturally we have a closer bond. So.
Of course, I can definitely see that. All right, so moving on to our last section, which is a structural perspective. So, would you tell me about some healthy traits that you think your family has and that you hold close?
Healthy traits that my family has, I'd probably say, um,
I know you had mentioned earlier that your brothers all played soccer. Were you pretty active growing up?
yes, yeah, we were definitely pretty active growing up, and our parents made sure of that. Um, I'd say, I'm trying to think of the most perfect example, but I'd probably say, we strive to have healthy habits, and religion plays a part in our daily lives as well. So I'd probably say that's a healthy trait.
Okay. Kind of keep you grounded too. What
Exactly.
about some unhealthy traits?
Unhealthy traits. I'd say that at times the communication could be better. I'd probably say at times there's some miscommunication going on that can lead to frustration. So there's that.
How do you, now that you're on your own and you're kind of living your own life, how do you personally stay healthy and well?
With my family, or just for myself?
Just for yourself.
Um, I try to surround myself with good people. I try to keep in contact with my extended family, and I just, like I said, I'm curious, and so I always just try to learn more on how I can grow as a person.
It's definitely a really good trait to have. What are some ways that you care for yourself in that you take time for yourself, or what are some things that you do outside of nursing to make you happy?
One thing that I try to do a lot of, that especially recently, just being physically active. Whether it's, I still play soccer. It's only been a week, but I started going to the gym again.
It's good.
And also reading. I was able to read a couple books over the summer, and just gaining wisdom through reading, I think, is important. I haven't been able to do it, during the school year as much. Not as much time.
Hard to have time to free read for sure during school, especially with nursing.
Yeah, but I think it's important, and that's how I try to take care of myself mentally and physically.
Mm-hmm. How do you think your family communicates about that mental health?
Um, well, the way that my family, well, and I'll probably say it's kind of like my mom's role.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way she tries to promote mental health is through religion,
Mm-hmm.
through, the Christianity, and sending us like, hey, you're still going to church and keeping up with, you know, that aspect of it. So I'd probably say it's kind of been her role,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how it's been. And she's always the one that's kind of making sure everyone's, in a good state mentally.
Mm-hmm. How do you keep up with religion being so busy as a student?
I'd probably say just going to church. I go probably 2 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's my way of keeping up um, with that mental aspect of it, of my mental health.
Okay, that's really good. All right, so that's all I have for you.